Hello and welcome to your Power Vinyasa class. My name is Omar, and today we're going to be practicing a fairly vigorous style of Vinyasa yoga. So please make sure you have your towel and get ready to sweat because we're going to be moving quite a lot. Now it's important to note that in this class, ultimately this is your practice, so please do what feels best for you. We will be moving one breath, one posture. But if you need to take a break at any time, the child's pose, which we'll begin today's class in, is always available to you. One other point I'd like to focus on is proper alignment. So a lot of times, new practitioners and old practitioners alike, they tend to complain from wrist pain from doing too many vinyasa flows, too many chaturangas. The reason that happens is you tend to sink into the outside part of your wrists when practicing. So today in class, please focus on putting a lot of weight into your thumb and your index finger. So that's ideally where we're going to be focusing on today. The other focus of the class is on core. So today, please, as we're moving through our vinyasas, be mindful of using your core, being light in your motions. So to begin, let's start in a child's pose. So to get into your child's pose, begin by spreading your knees to the wide edges of your mat, your toes to touch, and then slowly start to sink in to your practice. Turning your attention inward and really starting to settle in here. We're going to sit back on our heels, relax our shoulders, and slowly let your day melt away. Throughout class, we'll be practicing Ujjayi Breath, a very active and mindful type of breathing. It has an audible and rhythmic quality, almost like the sound of waves. So to practice our Ujjayi Breath, it's all done in through our nose and out through our nose. Taking a deep breath in through your nose, and then sighing it out, but with your lips closed. This is going to be an important part of our practice. As we flow, we're going to move with our breath. So while we're here, take a few moments to settle in, to maybe roll your forehead from side to side, unwinding any tension that you might be holding there, sitting back on your hips. If you want to make this active, press into your fingertips and walk your fingertips forward, lifting your arms off the ground. Walk your fingertips to the right, finding a nice stretch in the left side body. Coming back to center, and then walking your fingertips gently to the left. Again, finding nice long length to the side. Sending your breath into those rib cage and intercostal muscles. Making your way back to center. One more deep breath here. And on your next inhale, bring your palms underneath your shoulders and make your way into a tabletop position. So like we discussed, send the weight before we begin here into your thumbs and your index fingers. So your middle and your index finger are facing forward. And on an inhale, lift your chest and lift your tailbone. And on an exhale, use your core to tuck and round, starting to undulate into what we call a cat-cow. So inhaling up and then exhaling, rounding. Do a few of these, really linking your breath to your movements. And if you like, you can also begin to move from side to side, just finding articulation and space in your spine. When you're ready, come to center And using that weight again in the palms of our hands, keeping it out of our wrists, tuck your toes and slowly press your heels down and your hips up to the sky, coming into your downward facing dog. So that alignment we discussed in the hands is very important. You're going to keep that weight light in your wrists and mostly spread throughout all the real estate of your hand. You're going to let your head relax, sending your gaze back between your thighs. Since this may be your first downward dog of the day, why don't you pedal out your heels a little bit, finding movement and opening to your hamstrings. We relax our shoulders, lift our tailbone to the sky. This is a very dynamic posture. Eventually one day, and this is a lifelong pursuit, but one day maybe your heels may even come down to the ground. If they're already there, that's wonderful. If not, don't worry, it'll come in time. Take a few deep breaths here, remembering your Ujjayi breath. You should be able to hear it in your head. And on your next inhale, bend your knees. And on your exhale, slowly make your way lightly to the top of your mat, having your feet spread at hip width distance. Now, hip width distance is the size of 2 fists if you need to measure that. And coming into a ragdoll position. So letting your head drape down. You can bend your knees as much as you need to let your rib cage rest on your thighs. Interlace your arms in opposite elbow creases and then sway from side to side. Just testing the weight throughout all the different points of your feet. If you rock forward, you'll feel the top of your back open. If you rock backwards, you'll feel this going into your hips. So play around with this, sending your breath throughout your body. Your next inhale, let your arms drop, and slowly, one vertebrae at a time, begin to roll up to standing, letting your head be the last thing to come up. On an inhale, lift your hands up to mountain pose. On an exhale, bring your hands to heart center. We're going to flow through a sun salutation A. So bringing your toes to touch, and remember, we build our postures from the ground up. So starting at our feet, we have these points that are pressing into the ground. We're active in our thighs, active in our hips. Core is engaged, shoulders are down. Even standing here like this, you can begin to sweat. So make this an active posture and find your edge. On an inhale, hands to the sky. On an exhale, fold all the way down. Your next inhale is a halfway lift. Let's stop here for a moment and just define the halfway lift. So halfway lift, you may have different degrees of where you'll be, but the idea is to have dynamic energy shooting through your head and out through your tailbone with a flat back. So you may have your hands on your shins, that's perfectly fine. And over time, as your hamstrings open, you may be able to get lower and lower. So inhale, halfway lift, chest proud, exhale, fold forward. One more time, inhale, halfway lift, roll those shoulders back, chest proud, exhale, fold forward. And for the last time, halfway lift here. And then fold forward, planting your hands down, stepping back into a high plank position. So set up that high plank. This is like our mountain pose. Again, everything is aligned. Our wrists are under, our elbows are under our shoulders. The weight is spread evenly throughout our fingertips. If you feel all that weight in the outside of your palm, rotate your elbows towards one another and take the weight out of your wrists and into your thumb and index finger. Chest proud. Rock forward just ever so slightly and then lower down all the way to your belly, being mindful of keeping those elbows tucking in so that they press against your rib cage, bringing you all the way down to the ground. Keeping your hands where they are. Take an inhale, lift your foot slightly off the ground, so your right foot lifts, and you reach it back, finding traction and length, and you press the tops of your toenails down. Inhale your left foot up, reach it back, press it down. And on an inhale, roll your chest up off the ground, finding a cobra. lower down. Inhale, lift to cobra. Chest forward, little to no weight in the hands. You can even test this by lifting your hands off the ground. Feel the weight shift and lower down. Third time, inhale up. Hands off the ground, pressing tops of the feet and lower down. Now, tucking our toes, finding our high plank, elbows brushing ribcage on the way up too, and then back into a downward facing dog. So we're going to flow through this Sun A series, adding an up dog in the actual flow, but if you want to do your cobra, that's fine too. Keep in mind, when we vinyasa flow, again, my feet and my hands remain where they are. So I'm down dog, I come into my high plank, I lower down halfway, I flip the tops of my feet, press up into my upward facing dog, and then I lower into my downward facing dog. And you notice my hands and feet stayed where they were. They're perfectly distanced here to make that move. And think about your transitions as well. Be very graceful in your transitions. So take a deep breath here. Let it out. Next, inhale, bend your knees. And then lightly make it to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, mountain pose. Exhale, hands to heart center. So let's flow through that. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step or jump back into a high plank, lowering halfway to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a deep breath here. Let it out. On your next inhale, bend your knees. Exhale lightly, either hopping or jumping to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, mountain. Exhale, hands to heart center. One more time. Inhale, up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Planting your palms, stepping back, lowering halfway down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a deep breath here. Sigh it out. You see, Ujjayi Breath creates a lot of heat inside our body, which is wonderful. But periodically, if you begin to overheat, you can open and sigh out your breath. But throughout class, let's focus on keeping that mindful and deep Ujjayi Breath. So while in down dog, remember to relax your neck, relax your shoulders, spread that weight evenly through your palms, trying to press those heels down, tailbone to the sky. Taking a deep breath here, let's bend our knees, and again, lightly floating to the top of the mat. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, folding forward. Inhaling, mountain pose. We're going to change our series here from Sun A to Sun B. So what we're going to do from here is find a nice deep chair pose. So again, finding our toes to touch, maybe a little bit of distance between our heels. We're going to sit back into a chair. So looking down at our knees, pressing our knees together, our thighs together. We can bring our hands up. You can bring them to your heart. Whatever feels good. But the idea is to sit back into a chair. Now this is a very challenging posture. I think a lot of people's least favorite posture. So while we sit in this, let's try and smile a little bit because we can be grateful that we have the ability to even try this. Again, it's a lifelong pursuit. Some people have beautiful chairs where they can sit in deep. Others, like even myself, I'm not able to sit in it all that far back, but I really try. So sitting back into our heels, almost my toes, you can see, are lifted off the ground, and I'm sitting back into my heels. So one more breath here, and then we're gonna lean forward and fly our arms back, rotating our palms down. This will activate our triceps. And on an inhale, bringing palms up, and let's flow back. One more time, inhale up, and then flow your arms back. From here, inhale, back to chair, and fold over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant those palms, step back, keep that alignment. Elbows brushing your ribs. Inhaling, upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. You may feel that you're starting to sweat a little bit, and if that's the case, that's good. If you're not sweating yet, we might want to up our edge a little bit and find that dynamic tension. So every one of these is an active posture. On your next inhale, your right leg sweeps up to the sky. Now here, our hips are square. It's not an open, it's a square at this point. So when we bring our right leg up, it sweeps the sky. And then bringing our right knee, using our core, bring it to your right elbow. Take it back up. Bring it again to the right. Inhale up. Third time to the elbow. Inhale up. And then lightly step it through between your palms. Try not to make a big thud sound when you come through here. Try and make it as light as possible, floating that foot down, really engaging the core. Now let's find our alignment here. Again, our ankle is under our knee. We have a nice 90-degree angle in our thigh, and we're squaring. I'm drawing my left hip forward. My chest is proud. So from low lunge, I transition to my high lunge, and I find, again, that nice alignment. Back leg is strong, shoulders are relaxed, gaze looking forward. Taking a deep breath here, I pivot my back heel to a 45-degree angle onto the knife edge of the foot, and I open my arms up to warrior two. So the idea here, again, is to have open hips. So open your hips to the side. Bring your hands to your hips and open them to the side. Keep a nice deep lunge in that front leg. And then open your arms into warrior two, sending your gaze over your fingertips to the front. Taking a deep breath here. We're going to lean forward and come into an extended side angle. So you have a few options here. You can either have your forearm resting on your thigh, back leg active with your hand over your head. There's one. If you like, you can open down into two. And if you like your Ashtanga practice, you may even bring that hand to the outside, sending your gaze to the top hand here. But again, nice and strong and lean. Taking a deep breath here. Let it out. Next inhale, come back up to warrior two, keeping that nice deep lunge in your legs. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Again, when we reverse our warrior, there's little to no weight on the back thigh. Our hands almost just resting lightly there. It's about opening up our side body. So one more breath here, and then cartwheel those hands down, lift that leg, step back, lower halfway. Remember those elbows, brush your ribs. Inhale up, and then exhale, downward facing dog. Now take a moment here if you need to, towel off, wipe off any sweat, because we're going to do that on the other side, and then we're going to begin to flow that. So holding these postures initially can be quite challenging because you're doing these long dynamic holds, but the flow then gets our cardio and our heart pumping. So inhale, left leg high. Same idea, square hips. Taking a deep breath here. And then bringing it elbow, knee to elbow. Inhale back up. Left to left. Remember to breathe. Inhale up. And then left to left, third time. Taking it back up. And then stepping it through lightly, low lunge. Finding our alignment again. So setting up our hips so they're square. Shoulders, ankle is under our knee. Taking a deep breath here. Transitioning up to our upward face, or our high lunge. Again, relaxing our shoulders. Staring forward. Again, I'm totally feeling the action here, starting to sweat a little bit. Hopefully you are too. So taking one deep breath here, then we pivot our back heel down and we open up into our warrior two. So again, find your hips, open them up, So they're facing the side wall here. Nice deep lunge in our front leg. Again, the weight is spread evenly. And then we open our hands into our warrior two. Finding nice dynamic energy here. Taking a deep breath in, we lean forward and we come into our extended side angle. Again, option one, having your forearm on your thigh. Option two, coming down on the inside and opening. Option three, finding the outside there with your drishti going to the top hand. One breath more here. And then opening up, keeping that deep lunge in your leg into warrior two. Taking a deep breath here. And then reverse your warrior. Again, keeping that nice lunge in the front leg. You might start to shake a little. That's good. Little to no weight on the back. Finding length in our side body. One more breath out. And then cartwheel your hands, stepping back, lowering halfway down. Inhale, upward facing dog. And then exhale to downward facing dog. So take a few breaths here. Find yourself, come back to your Ujjayi breath. If you're starting to pant a little bit, slow it down. Now's a great time if you choose. You can always come down to a child's pose if that's something that you wish to do, just to take a moment to recenter yourself. But for those of you that have not done that, coming back up to your downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths. On your next inhale, bend your knees and lightly make your way to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, mountain pose. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, chair. Exhale, lean and fly. Inhale, chair. Exhale, lean and fly. One more. Inhale, chair. Exhale, lean and fly. Coming back up to chair. And then folding over all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your palms, step back. Lower down halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg high. Right to right. Inhale, right leg high. Again, right to right. Inhale, right leg high. Right to right last time. Take it back up and then lightly step it through. Find your alignment. Inhale, high lunge. Exhale, warrior two. Take a deep breath here. Come to your extended side angle. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, cartwheel your hands around. Step back, lower down. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg high. Bring your left to left. Take it back up. Exhale, left to left. Inhale up. Last time, left to left. Use your core, hold it high. Take it back up. And then step it through to low lunge. Inhale, high lunge. And then open to warrior two. Take a deep breath here. Find your extended side angle. Inhale, reverse. And then cartwheel around. Stepping back, lower halfway. Inhale up. And exhale, downward facing dog. Whew. Take a deep breath in. And then sigh it out. One more deep breath in. And then sigh it out. Coming down to our knees for just a moment. Toweling off if you find yourself starting to sweat quite a bit, which you could see I am. So hopefully, again, we're feeling that. And try not to slip around on your mat, so be safe always. So we'll come back up again. Coming into our downward facing dog. We're going to inhale our right leg high, square again. And then step it through into a low lunge. So now we find our alignment here again. Ankle, knee, shoulders. And on an inhale, lift your chest. And bend that back knee. And on an exhale, round and curl, straightening the front leg, but curling over the front leg, finding this really delicious stretch to the outside hip here. Maybe again, inhale up, exhale, round. One more time, inhale up, exhale, round. Coming to center, planting your left hand on the inside of your right foot. Let's open up to a simple twist to the side. So find nice action and activity through your back leg, pressing into the palm, lifting lightly up to the sky. And then from here, we're going to open into a horizon lunge. So horizon lunge, for those of you that don't know it, we're going to open to the knife edges of our feet. So now you're on the knife edge of each foot, and then you're opening your chest to the side, finding a delicious stretch here to the IT band. This entire area, we never get to stretch this out. So breathing here. On our next inhale, we're going to press into our palm and pivot all the way around to the back of our mat. So now that we're at the back of our mat, we're setting up that same idea where we're aligned and we're inhaling our chest up. Exhale, round and curl. Inhale, chest up, knee bends. Exhale, round and curl. One more time, inhale up. Round and curl. Come to center. Plant the right hand in front of the inside the left foot and open up into your simple twist. What's nice about this is we get to use all our mat to flow around in front and back, really being dynamic with our movements. And then from here, we're going to open again into our horizon lunge, finding the outside edges of our feet, and then inhaling, twisting, and opening our palm behind us. A few breaths in horizon lunge. Relaxing your gaze. If you like, you can close your eyes. One more inhale here. And on an exhale, again, plant and twist all the way back to the top of your mat. Step back, lower down halfway. Inhale up. Exhale, downward facing dog. So let's do that again. This time we'll flow on the other side. So inhale, left leg high. Left leg steps through lightly. Avoid any thumping sound when you drop your foot. Inhale, chest up. Exhale, round and straighten. Inhale, chest up. Exhale, round and straighten. Last time, inhale up. Round and straighten. Coming to center, planting our palm, and then opening our twist. And that opens into horizon lunge. Taking a deep breath here. Then we twist around all the way to the back of the mat, where we do our inhale up and round and curl. Inhale up and round over the straightened leg. Third and last time, inhale up and round. Finding center, planting the palm, opening up to simple twist. Simple twist then opens to horizon lunge. One more breath here. And then we spin all the way around to the top of the mat, stepping back, lowering halfway, inhaling up, exhaling, downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths here, and we're going to transition from our standing postures onto our back for a moment. So a couple of breaths here, then we're going to inhale, bend our knees, and then lightly make our way to the top of the mat, coming into a bowl, and then making our way down to our back. And towel off again. because this is where the fun part really starts to happen. So we're going to work on our core, and we're going to begin simple. We'll begin with some Supta Baddha Konasana sit-ups. So bringing the soles of your feet to touch, letting your knees drop open, bringing your hands behind your head with your thumbs on either side of your neck. So it's important here that we keep our elbows wide and we don't see them in our field of view. So we'll take a deep breath in, exhale up, inhale, exhale. And go on your own pace here, just following your own breath, exhaling on the way up, sending your gaze up, keeping your elbows wide, pressing the small of your back down into the ground. Take the curvature out of your back here. So a couple more. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold it up here, and then do some micro crunches here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And give yourself a hug. You deserve it. And then maybe roll a little bit from side to side. And keeping our knees elevated as if we're sitting back in a chair, flexing our feet back, we're going to come into some Yogi Bicycles. Now, important part about the Yogi Bicycle, again, is our form. So keep the small of your back down, pressing down, so you've taken all the curvature out of your spine. Your knees are over your hips, your feet are flexed, as if you're stepping and trying to press on the wall in front of you. And the problem is you're in like a vat of honey. So it's slow and it's not that easy to do it. So you got to use a lot of energy. The other important part about this is our knees. It's way easier to bring your knee to your elbow than it is to bring your elbow to your knee. So let's not cheat ourselves. Let's really get our core working here because we want to all be able to float and fly and do handstands and all that fun stuff. So on an inhale, exhale, straighten your right leg and bring your right elbow to your left knee. Ooh, bring it back in. Try the other side. And now your own breath, start going through some Yogi Bicycles. Again, being mindful of bringing the elbow to your knee and not your knee to your elbow. And twist, and twist. Breathing. We'll only do a couple more. Let's say 99, 98, 97, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Give yourself a hug. Wow, you really should be feeling your core on fire there. If not, rewind it and do it again, because this is the part that really, this is where you get all that action going. Last round, let's straighten our feet up straight to the sky. And now you've got them straight up, and we're gonna do some rope climbers. So we're gonna climb, crisscrossing our hands to the opposite sides of our feet, just lifting our chest off the ground, remembering to breathe, trying to touch those feet. It's okay here to breathe out through your mouth, expel any of that heat that you're building. We'll do 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. Give yourself a hug and begin to rock from side to side, even rocking up and back and forth, building enough momentum, because what we're going to do on this next one is we're going to cross our ankles and jump back into plank, lightly finding our chaturanga, and then hold this up dog. Whew. What's nice about this up dog is after all that core work, it feels just amazing. So hanging out here for a second. Look over your right shoulder. Look over your left shoulder. Look center. And then come back into your downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. Again, remembering where we are, remembering our form,
keeping the weight out of our wrists, relaxing our head, straightening our legs, tailbone to the sky. And on your next inhale, lightly make your way to the top of the mat. And what we're going to do now is a really fun part. This is where the core work will really start to pay off. So what we're going to focus on today is getting into a crow pose. Now the nice thing about a crow pose is it's the fundamental, it's the basic first step into getting into your handstands and into floats and forearm stands, all that really fun, exciting stuff that we want to do. So like we've been talking about, we started at the beginning of the class talking about sending the weight throughout our hands. So when we plant our hands down on the ground, it's as if we're in chaturanga hands, weights evenly distributed. A lot of times what you find is people create a shelf and then they put all this weight down, right? They lift their legs and then they put all this weight and they're pressing into their triceps. And sometimes people have bruises on their triceps and it really hurts because they're pressing all that weight down. Now that's one way to kind of get into it, but it's more about your core and being light and lifting. So what we're going to do is when we get in here, and I'll demo it for you because really the idea is not so much about pressing all that weight or even having a shelf. The idea is just being, you can just have straight arms even and lift it up. And if you choose, I mean, you don't even need your arms at all. I mean, this is how you can press up straight into a handstand if you choose from here. I mean, all this is accessible to you, and it all starts in the crow pose. So let's focus on being really light in our core and pressing from there. So when we come into it, use your triceps to press against it, send your weight forward, and then as you lift a foot off the ground, engage your core, feel it. Lift your other foot, feel it. And then there, and if you can, if this is easy, then straighten those arms and hold. So play around with this a little bit and try it. If you need to pause the video to do that, go ahead and just keep trying back and forth, lifting one foot, maybe the next, using your core to engage. When you're done with that, join me in a child's pose to just really unwind and let go of any type of expectations, any successes, any failures. So the idea about yoga is there really is no judgment, and every day is different. Some days you'll be able to do it, other days maybe a little more challenging. But come back in and settle into your practice again, finding center and finding that Ujjayi breath. After a few breaths here, we'll make our way back up to our tabletop, inhaling, our chest up, rolling back, inhaling up, and rolling back. One more time, inhaling, chest up, and rolling into our deep cat, to center, back into downward facing dog. So now settle in again, making sure that weight is spread evenly, our shoulders are relaxed. Inhale your right leg to the sky, and then step it through lightly between your palms. Good. Once you're here, we're going to inhale into a high lunge. And from high lunge this time, we're going to transition into a warrior one. So again, you may be, like me, completely sweating it up, and that's good. So once we're in our warrior one position, our hips are square, our knees are bent, we're inhaling our hands high. Coming into a nice relaxed warrior one position here. Again, weight is evenly spread between our feet, so there's equal activity in my back leg as there is in my front leg. I relax my shoulder, I send my gaze forward. So from warrior one, our transition will be to straighten the front leg,
open our hips and then come into a triangle by leaning forward and then tick-tocking your hands to a 6 and a 12 position. Keeping our chest proud, finding length in our spine. Your gaze can either be to the high hand or even to the low hand, depending on where you are. One more breath here. Let your arms bring you back up. Pivot on your heels to the back of the mat and find your warrior one facing the back. So again, nice deep bend. Shoulders relaxed. Hips are square, not open. In warrior two, they were open. In warrior one, we're squaring our hips here. So I'm drawing my right hip forward and my left hip back. My next inhale, I straighten my front leg. I open my hips and my arms, and I reach forward so I can't reach anymore. And then my left arm goes to the ground, right arm goes to the sky. I'm in my nice triangle position here. In triangle, imagine yourself as a beautiful piece of art that someone's trying to frame between two pieces of glass. So make yourself as thin as possible here and as flat as you can in one plane. One more deep breath here. Your next inhale, your right arm draws you back up. Pivot your feet so that they're parallel. Inhale your chest up. And fold forward into a wide-legged forward fold, coming into Prasarita. You have a few options here. You can interlace your arms in opposite elbow creases and sway from side to side. You can interlace your hands behind your back, finding an opening for your shoulders. Whatever it is that feels right. If you have an inversion practice, this is a great place to pop into, whether you want to get into a handstand or a headstand. This is all available to you depending on where you are. But at this stage, this is perfectly therapeutic. Inverting ourselves so that our blood flow changes. Inhaling, halfway lift. And then exhaling to the top of the mat, stepping back and lowering down halfway. Inhaling, upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths here to settle back into our practice. On your next inhale, bend your knees. Lightly make your way to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, mountain pose. Exhale, hands to heart center. Taking a deep breath. And release. So from here, we're going to do our next part of our practice will be coming into balancing. So we've done quite a lot of core work. We've done a whole bunch of hip openers. More hip openers to come, but at this stage, let's really focus on our balance. So let's begin with a nice simple practice of tree. In tree, there's a few variations that you can do for tree. So planting your right foot into the ground, your left foot can come to either your ankle. This is perfectly fine. If this is all you have, this is great. Great place to start. You can bring it up to your calf. And if you choose, and if you have the flexibility and the balance, you can bring it up to your thigh. Please, please avoid the knee. If you find your foot against your knee at any time, go lower or go higher. But don't put any pressure. Our knees weren't designed to have weight push on them. So that's just going to do more damage over time. Opening up our hips, again, engaging our core, relaxing our shoulders. Coming into a tree pose. Now when you're in tree, find a place that's not moving. Maybe a point on your wall, and then just stare there. If you start moving your gaze around, that makes it more difficult. Again, if you want to challenge your balance, you can maybe open your tree. If you want to test your balance, you can start sending your gaze upward. It makes it much more difficult. And if you really want to test your balance, you can close your eyes. And if you fall, just come right back into it, but be careful. Coming back to center. Now before we drop our leg, let's take and bend our knee forward. Again, this is working on our core, and so we're activating it here. Let's try and straighten our leg as best we can, and then lower it down. Let's do the other side. So, same as before, spreading our toes, getting all that real estate on the ground, and then using our right foot either to our ankle, either to our calf, or all the way up into your thigh. And opening your hips, engaging your core, relaxing your shoulders, an active pose. Gaze is to one point that's not moving. Really slowing it down now. Inhale, you can open up your tree. If you did on the other side, you can open those hands if you choose. Taking your gaze to the sky. Bringing our hands to our heart center. And then before releasing that leg, keep it nice and active. Bring it out in front of you. And then straighten it out as best you can. Try and keep your body, try not to lean back or forward. Just stay nice and strong. Smile and bring it down. You can shake out your legs if you need to. Now from here, we're going to come into a dancer's pose. So dancer's pose, again, one of those beautiful postures, but a lot of times you see it done more for how it looks than for what it actually does for you. So when we do our dancer's pose, we're going to bring our feet to touch, our knees in alignment, and when we bend back and grab the outside of our foot, I want to square my hips. So my hips are square, my knees are lined up. I inhale my hand up. And rather than just bending forward and coming into this posture, the idea is to kick into the back hand. So my shoulder's opening, my hand is up, and it's incremental. It's one step at a time. So inhale up, exhale slightly, not too much, just kick into that back hand. One more inhale up, exhale, kick. And just keep doing that. Inhaling, lifting your chest, exhale, kicking back, until you get to the point where you can't kick anymore, and that's the extent of it. So once you're there and you're on your edge, you can start to lean forward if that works for you. Watch your balance though, again with these balance poses. So inhaling up, coming back into it. So you can lean forward if necessary, kicking back. The idea is keep those hips square and your chest proud. Coming back up to center. Again, before we drop it, let's bring it back up to our chest. Again, work that core. I promise you this was going to be a core workout, so let's do it. And then back down. Let's do it on the other side now. Same idea. So we're bending in to our back leg, chest open, hand high. And as we exhale, we kick into the back foot. Inhale up, exhale, kick. One more inhale up. Again with this, squaring your shoulders, leaning forward when the time is right. Coming back up, don't release yet. Keep your strong leg, straighten it out, bring it forward. Inhale, hands high. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant, step or jump back. Lower halfway down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog.
On your next inhale, lift your right leg to the sky. and come into a half pigeon pose. So coming into half pigeon, I like to bring my knee to my elbow, slide it down to my wrist. Now, depending on the flexibility of your hips here, your foot may eventually, one day, may already be parallel to the top of the mat. Now, my hips are far from that open. I understand this will take years, so I'm almost at a 45 degree, maybe even a 60 at sometimes if I'm lucky. But inhaling, looking back, making sure my top of my foot is down, lifting my chest proud, and then I start to roll and lower down, finding wherever I am where I can still feel that good stretch in my hips. So this might be as far as you go. If you have a block, it's great to utilize that. But when you're here, this may be as far as you take it. You may take it even lower. The idea is, again, having your hips parallel on their level. So not one hip too far down or one hip too far up. The idea is having them square and flat. Relaxing our shoulders and just sinking into this very, very deep hip opener. For some folks, they adore this posture. For others, they find it excruciating. If you're of the latter, just start to deepen your breath. Avoid the desire to fidget and just sink in deep into here. You can hold this posture as long as you like. The idea here will be to let go and to really just let go of the small of your back. Your sacrum holds so much tension when we sit at our desks all day. So from here, just if you can tell your mind one thing, tell it to tell the small of your back to let go. As that happens, your hip starts to unwind and you start to sink in deeper. You can reach those arms forward if you choose. Whatever feels right for you. After a few more breaths, begin to walk your hands back under your shoulders and slowly and gently come out of this deep, deep hip stretch. Tuck your back foot under, and again, gently lift yourself up, coming into a three-legged dog, maybe moving that leg around, getting the fresh blood flowing back into it. You can open into a scorpion dog if that feels good. Just wiggle it around, get that blood moving. Just be gentle with yourself here. Coming back down to downward dog. Inhale your left leg high. And then finding, again, your half pigeon all the way down. Finding that good alignment first. So finding wherever you are in your hip to find it opening. Chest proud. And then slowly start to lower yourself down to your forearms or all the way down to your forehead if you can make it down there. Again, finding squareness in your hips. And relaxing your shoulders. If you have any tension in your jaw, open your mouth, move your jaw around. Sometimes we clench up because this is such a deep, intense stretch. Use your breath to send it through your body into your hips. You can have your hands cupped in each other, open to the sky. You can have your palms facing down, reaching out. Whatever works for you. Whatever's most comfortable and comforting. So if this is a posture that you wish to sit in longer, by all means, stay here. Get the benefits of this very, very deep hip opener. When you're ready, slowly bring your hands back under your shoulders and gently lift yourself back up. First, inhaling chest high, and then tucking your back toes and gently lifting that left leg to the sky, wiggling it about. You opened up into a scorpion on one side, go ahead and open on the other. Bringing it down. Coming into a high plank. Remember when our plank, just like we did at the beginning, those hands are nice and spread wide, fingers all the way to spread. We rock forward, elbows in, brush all the way, and take this all the way down to your belly. Inhaling, lifting our right foot slightly off the ground, reaching it back, pressing it down. The left foot, reaching it back, pressing it down. Inhaling, lifting our chest. Exhale, relax. One more inhale up. Lift those hands off the ground. Lower down. One more inhale up. Lower down. Look to the right. Release your hands to the side body. Close your eyes and just completely let go. Breathing your weight into the small of your back. Coming back to center, bending our knees so that our feet are facing the sky, reaching back, grabbing the tops of our feet or our ankles. And then from here, we're rolling our shoulders back, and like we did in dancer's pose, we're going to inhale our chest up, and exhale, kicking into those hands. One more inhale up, exhale, kick. It's incremental. One more deep back bend. Exhale, kick. And release it gently. Look the other way. Release your hands. If you like, you could bend those knees and windshield wiper them from side to side, relaxing the small of your back. And staying where you are, let's spin over onto your back. So again, with your head facing forward, just come onto your back, roll over. Finding your feet planted on the ground, your knees to the sky, and then bringing your heels back just close enough so that you can whisper touch your heels with your fingertips. They don't need to be too close, but you have to be able to touch them, just barely graze them. We're going to roll into our first bridge posture. So pressing our feet into the ground, sending our shins forward, we lift our hips off the ground. Now while we're here, please send your gaze always up. Don't look from side to side. It could really hurt your neck if you move it from side to side in these postures. So lifting our hips to the sky, pressing our shins forward, releasing any weight in our glutes. And there's a lot of instruction here, but the idea is your feet are pressing into the ground, your shins are pressing forward, your hips are going up, and your glutes are releasing. A few more breaths here. Lower down. We can do that again. If you choose, you can take this into a wheel pose. So the idea with wheel would be you plant your palms on either side of your ears, and it's the same intro in. One vertebrae at a time, pressing into our feet, popping up lightly onto our head, elbows in, and then straightening up into your wheel. The idea here, again, is to release the glutes and relax. Maybe one day straightening those arms and legs. If this is not accessible, stay doing the bridge. When you're ready, slowly lowering down, one vertebrae at a time, all the way down to your back. Bring your knees to your chest, give yourself a big squeeze. Maybe roll from side to side, unwinding
finding a counter pose to those deep back bends. And a deep inhale, send your knees to the left. We begin on the left because it's the way our anatomy is designed, so it really helps our digestion to send our twists over to the left. So with these, if you open your arms into a T, you either have both arms open into a T, one hand on your knees or your thighs. The idea is to have both your shoulders on the ground, so it's less important to have your knees down but your shoulders up. So try and focus on bringing both shoulder blades to the ground, twisting from there. Since our knees are left, send your gaze, make sure you're looking to the right. Coming back to center, giving yourself a hug, and then going to the other side. Same idea here, where again, it's more important that we keep our shoulders down, eyes closed, relaxing into this beautiful supine twist. Coming to center, giving yourself another big squeeze, and then coming into a finishing posture before we reach our last Shavasana, whatever it is you choose, whether it's you want to come into a happy baby and roll from side to side, grabbing the outside of your feet. For some, they may wish to come into a shoulder stand. So with shoulder stands, again, we press up. Important that our gaze is straight up to our feet, not moving our head from side to side. But whatever feels good here for a final inversion where your feet are higher than your head. If you're in shoulder stands, slowly and at your own pace, rolling down. If you were in happy baby, maybe again coming back to center, giving yourself one last big squeeze, and then releasing into your final Shavasana, relaxation pose. Now Shavasana, some call it Western yoga's most challenging posture because it's hard to stay here and really clear our minds of everything. So ideally, if you can, sit here for 3 minutes to 5 minutes. It's a very relaxing place. It's where we let it all go and our body processes what we've just done. We release our mindful breath and just come back to stillness. So my friends, stay here as long as it feels right. And when you're done, do please stay as long as you need to, but when I come out, I roll over to my favorite side. I use my arms as a pillow. Take a few breaths here, and then gently bring myself up to seated. I bring my hands to my heart center. I close my eyes. I bring my thumbs to my lips, to my third eye center, and I bow and say namaste. So thank you for coming and practicing with me. Please remain in Shavasana as long as you need, and I look forward to seeing you in another class. Thank you so much.